Well, I guess to kind of start off with, when did David come up with the idea of thinking of record collection? Long before, obviously, what you tackled into, but when did that whole record collection idea come about, and kind of who came up with that idea?
The Dave's record collection segment on the show predated my arrival. I got to the show in 1990. I think it was around 1983 that Dave himself and some of the first writers just sort of organically realized, I have this weird record album. Hey, I've got a really crazy one too. Maybe we could do something on the show with like playing samples from several of them. And it began from that sort of off-the-cuff beginning. And then I guess it was successful and fun, and they thought there must be other ones we could pull out of these thrift shops and used record stores. And so there was a writer before me who gathered up the material, but when I started in 1990, it was a long-running established segment, and I kind of inherited it. But it did have this completely natural beginning. I think Dave himself had Robert Mitchum Sings Calypso, or one of these oddities that he just thought, that's too crazy to be real, but there it is, it's real.
And then as far as that first crazy album, was it a Michael Brown? Was it Sid? Who did you pick up and go, what is this? What have I got here?
The very first one I ever saw, it was a General Electric Utility Executives Conference musical from 1966. It was a vast production. It was 3 days in 1966, speeches interspersed with musical numbers. It was a 2-record set. It was very good. I just thought, this is bewildering, but it is shockingly good, and I had no idea about anything about Broadway, so I did not recognize that the names John Kander and Fred Ebb might be of interest to musical theater people, because they were the people who were well known from Chicago and Cabaret and other top-line real Broadway musicals, but they cut their teeth and paid the rent like so many other people doing these corporate gigs.
And then, Deva, as far as y'all's connection with The Late Show, I'd love to know how y'all kind of teamed up and came up with this idea, but also, music-wise, 2 Trains running to this, you kind of have a nice theme going with touching on unique music that people may not be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I do love music docs. To me, it's the best way to learn about something that you don't know about. So for 2 Trains, I really didn't know that much about blues, or I guess I thought I knew more than I did. And that's definitely the case with corporate musicals, because nobody knows what those are, and they're way better. I mean, there's no other way that I would have learned about it other than this guy. And it happened because we worked together when I was an editor at The Late Show, and he kind of kept it, I don't know, you had this whole like secret passion that I didn't know about. Like, why didn't you ever tell me about it when I worked with you?
I don't really remember. I think it was in a relatively quiet period of my collecting, and I guess I also had this skepticism of, this is weird, and maybe most people won't really like it. And I guess I thought I liked your comedy sensibility enough that eventually I thought, well, just shoot her a CD compilation and see what happens.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, but so, years after I left The Late Show, he sent me a CD, and the song that grabbed me was My Bathroom, because how could it not? And he put the book out, and it was like kind of in the air, like something's happening with this, and I said, if anybody's going to make a documentary about this, it should be me. So, yeah.
Where did Pants Steve come from?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that you have done your homework very well.
Yes.
Pants Steve derives from the fact that Dave Letterman's production company is Worldwide Pants. And in the mid-'90s, everyone was getting on the internet, and AOL said, well, we're going to give everybody at the Letterman show an email address through AOL, and it's going to be Pants this and Pants that and Pants the other thing. So I was Pants Steve. And most people abandoned those, but I seem to have kept mine.
Tell him about that.
Oh. So a couple of years ago, Dava and I were in the UK at the Sheffield Doc Fest, and we were trying to pitch the project and explain what it was, and meeting all these British people, and here's my card and all that, and they kind of looked at it, because in Turns out in the UK, pants means underwear. So I was Underwear Steve suddenly to a whole country full of people. I did not see that coming.
Wow. That's a whole different type of movie. Involves a bathroom, though, I guess, but...
It all comes back to that.
That's right.
Can y'all talk about the opening and the ending of this film and about how it in itself is very much a play on the musical? And I mean, it plays in with the title, Bullets Over Broadway, Bathtubs Over Broadway. I love that y'all make that a part of the film. It's not just the story of the crazy albums. It's y'all are giving kind of your own fun musical that you're creating yourself. That must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. The crazy thing is that I did not really appreciate musical theater before starting this project. But then somehow, like, in the process of doing this, it was kind of like, what's the best way to, show the spirit of this thing? And so we decided to do original songs at the beginning and the end of the movie, and Steve did the lyrics, and
plays guitar too.
And he plays guitar as well. But it was kind of this unexpected part of the whole journey for us, that we were gonna be a part of the musical theater world by doing our own musical numbers. I don't know. What would you say about it?
I would say that we were both skeptical going in years ago about what the real power and value of musical theater was, but I learned about it sort of sideways or backwards and upside down, that done correctly, this stuff could hit people and motivate them and reach them and excite them in ways that I don't know if there's anything else that can do it quite the same way. So you have to just face that fact. And then once you've gone through this process of exploring this world and seeing how powerful it was, it seemed like the only card left to play was, and now we're going to show you that we can do it, and it's going to unfold before your eyes. And if we do it right, you're going to believe it as much as any audience ever has.
How long did it take you to allow the team to talk to your daughters, to follow you in that awesome minivan you have? Like, become a part of... We get to know a lot about your personal life, I think, just by watching this documentary. It seems really open and honest.
I guess when we started, we had this agreement that I don't know where this is going to go, but whatever you need, you got. And she said, I'm going to just see where it goes, but we're going to trust each other. And that brought us to places we didn't know it was going to go, emotionally and in terms of events that happened in the movie that surprised us. But yeah, it's just, if we're going to do this, let's not hold anything back.
But we didn't know. We definitely didn't know where the thing was going to go. But I had a little feeling, based on the fact that when he would tell me about the composers, he would start to tear up, and I thought, okay, that's a whole Steve that I never saw before. And I'm going to keep asking him about that, and I'm going to ask him about it again and again and again for years until he finally is okay with, like, really opening up. And so in the last, year, I think, is when I started to get him to really go there in the interviews about what all this meant to him. It was pretty cool.
What's the most rewarding part of doing this project for each of you personally?
The best thing to me has been being able to shine a light on the people that did this work, and to bring Pat and Sandy from the Bathrooms are coming out with us on tour, and for the families of the composers and the composers themselves to get a feeling of appreciation that they were doing great work and the world can see it now. That's honestly the thing that gets me. Still, when I watch the movie, those parts make me tear up, because that's the part I love.
I love all the crazy songs and all the insane improbability of this whole world, but like Dava, I feel like the people I've met, my 92-year-old friend Hank Beebe, who toiled in these fields for a long time and did beautiful, beautiful work, and he knew that the deal was that no one would ever understand what he did. And then for me to show up very late in his life and say, guess what? We're going to talk about this, and you're going to be appreciated, and people are going to know how talented you are. And with the same thing with Sid Siegel and Pat and Sandy and all these other performers and writers and their families who had long since given up on ever trying to explain to the outside world what it was that Dad or Mom did. we can't do that for every unsung hero in the world, but we can do it very, very strongly for a few of them.
Well, guys, I think that's a perfect way to end it. That was really poignant. Thank you guys for bringing it to Tallgrass. You guys have had a crazy journey with this, from Tribeca and De Niro picking this as one of his top 5. I can't wait.
He knows
for
what he's talking about. I like this.
But thank you guys for bringing it. I think this is one of the more enjoyable films. I didn't expect to be this much fun.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.